Jim, when you left near the end of last year, you were promised a testimonial to mark 900 games or so involvement. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much so, Mark. Just coming back tonight, it's a wonderful place. Walking out on that pitch is, got lots of fond memories here, and I think it's a good opportunity to, come back and have a game and bring back some players that have, played a massive part of my football journey.
Yeah, how long have the talks been about this game itself?
I think we opened the talks up back in 2010, I think, after 10 years service. But I always had in my mind that I wanted to have a testimonial when I sort of finished or playing, or when I sort of, left the football club, really. And then, it's sort of, I think it's back in 2017, it was sort of 20 years since I signed for the football club on loan for the first time. We sort of started talking about it again then, really, but I wasn't really, ready to have it. When I left back in November, me and Jerry sat down and he said that, he'd like to chair it, and now would be a perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it feels quite fitting. So 25 years ago, last January, you made your debut for the club. So much has changed since then. It'd be lovely to celebrate all of that.
Yeah, hugely. You can just see, the media team tonight doing this for me. It's very, very different back then in 1997. I think I remember Steve Millard coming over, and my parents had a pub back in then, and it was a quick sign on a Friday night, and back, and I never even trained with the team, and went out on the Saturday and played. So good memories.
Just about the day itself coming up, what's planned? Obviously, there's going to be a game. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've got a Bath City 11, which is going to be mainly made up of lads that were sort of in the two promotion teams, and a couple of other lads that sort of played in either a trophy semi-final or played in the remarkable sort of first season we were back in the conference and finished 10th. So it's a mixture of those lads against a Jerry's team, which is going to be sort of Southwest Sporting Legends.
You both going to get your boots on, you and Jerry?
I believe so.
How long is it since you last played in any have you played in any testimonials or anything recently?
I've played in a few charity games, yeah. I sort of, I keep myself ticking over on a Thursday night with just a bit of five-a-side with just some dads from the local school. But I've been involved with Lewis Carey's charity he runs with Mark Ford, and they play sort of 5 or 6 games a year. And I played one for them against Nailsea and Tickenham to raise some money for the Floodlights, as they got promoted into the Western League last year. And being Nailsea and Tickenham, my local team where I live now, it was nice to play in that. And I played a full 90 minutes.
That's good. So you should be fine for this. Can you name drop any others who could be coming along?
In my team?
Yeah, or either.
Yeah, well, in my team, I think there's the back four is going to have sort of 1,500 appearances between us. So I think you could probably work that out yourselves in terms of the lads that sort of have had some really good appearances as myself, which is a good mate of mine, Matt Coop. He'll be sort of alongside me.
Do you still stay in touch with all these players regularly?
Yeah. No, I think one of the special things is when you have a promotion or when you do well at a football club is that you generally form that bond, and we were very lucky to have that 2 promotions within those 4 years, as well as a sort of a second round FA Cup tie, and I think we'd come runners up the year before we actually got our first promotion. So we had a really tight knit bonded group of lads, and I think when you win something together, you generally do keep those bonds. And we've had a couple of reunions since, and we had one recently just coming out of lockdown, and it's good to see the old faces, and it's really interesting since I put it out there and asked them. I think there's only one lad really that's not able to come down.
2 promotions, of course. We won the Southern League, and then through the playoffs 3 years later to get into the conference. You got either of them stand out more than the other? Were they both just epic occasions?
I don't know. The first one was, we'd come runners up the year before, and there was a real disappointment getting beaten those playoffs, really. But we had such a good season after that. I think, after Christmas we went sort of 18 games unbeaten, and the lead up into it, every week we were sort of towards the end of the season working out, a celebration party after the game, and we went to Mangotsfield on the Tuesday, and then it did finally happen at Yate, on the Saturday. And I think that that Saturday was pretty special, because I think it'd been 30 odd years since Bath had a promotion, and being on the pitch with all the fans at Yate and then celebrating afterwards. It carried on the whole week because then we played rugby and then they came here and I was injured for that game. Funny enough, didn't miss too many games in my time here, but I had a broken rib for that game, and but that day was pretty special. Picking up the big shield with Scotty Partridge and then going out again celebrating. So I think we celebrated for about 4 weeks on the trot.
The broken rib didn't prevent you there, did it?
No, certainly not. I think, like you say, there's a good old thing called alcohol that the numbs of pain and also the euphoria of celebrating with the players. But so that was really special. The second one was obviously, I don't think anyone expected us to beat Woking. They were the high flying sort of team. They were ready to go up. They had some really, really, really good players. But what we had was a collective team spirit, and I don't think the game was very enjoyable itself in playing. It was very, very nerve wracking, and we held on for the win in the end. And I think being a Sunday night and the game being delayed, we didn't really everything planned, because we didn't whereas the promotion before there was lots of planning going on. But yeah, they were both very, very special, very hard to pick. Which is my favourite. But it was a very, very enjoyable time.
You said lots of nerves for that Woking game. I spoke to you before. I think, am I right in saying that the most nervous you've ever been was during one of those cup runs, the Forest Green game?
Yeah. I generally was pretty good with my nerves before games. I sort of got rid of that as a youngster, and did lots of different sort of therapies to try and get rid of the nerves before big games. And we played after the Grimsby game. The lead up to that, Forest Green was struggling a little bit in the league, and we really fancied ourselves to get into the third round. And it's always a dream of mine, at Bath City, to get the club into the third round. And unfortunately, didn't quite make that. But we sort of changed the sort of preparation for the game. We stayed at the Hilton down in Filton at Hambrook. And I lived literally 4 miles from there, and it was quite weird to meet up there on a Friday. Have a bit of a pre-match. But I just remember getting up in the morning and not being able to eat any breakfast, and then the TV cameras came in and tried to interview me and stuff. And before the game, just the sort of emotion of possibly getting to that third round. Very, very nervous that day.
You made up for it for a promotion after, of course, and it took you a couple more years in the National League. Were you sort of more in and out of the team? Is that right? I understand that first thing when we won promotion, your wages were cut.
Yeah, not quite cut. I don't know if it was a master stroke from Aidy Britton really, but I think he'd sort of spoke to other managers really, asking what's what sort of advice they could give him on getting promoted with a new team. It was evident that we didn't have a massive budget and we weren't able to go out and sign loads and loads of players and stuff. And I think he had in his head that if he could get a few of us on non-contract in case it didn't work out, then it'd be easy for it to change and bring in players that were able to handle the league really. And I was 35 at the time, and I think we'd had a conversation probably the year before that if we ever got promoted into the conference, that would be probably me in my retirement. But I don't know if it was good for him or not, but I just remember training like an absolute madman that pre-season, thinking I'll show him, I'll take the non-contract, no problem. And and I remember, it was in like the pre-season games, I managed to sub for the first game. But Luke Roddick that they'd signed from Salisbury, he'd pulled his hamstring in the first game, so I came on at half time thinking, this is my chance, and we managed to. We just got beaten that game actually, but then it was thick and fast. I remember we had another game in on the Tuesday night. Can't remember, possibly Rushden Diamonds, was it? Yeah. And same again. I was sub for that, but came on again, and I was just thinking I'll get another chance. And I think when I got my chance, I think I ended up playing 38 games that season, or 38 appearances, starting quite a few really, and really enjoyed that season. Going to really, really difficult places. And there's a famous thing in football really: the games you're not meant to win are the best games to win. And that's proven in the FA Cup, and obviously that season in the conference when we went to some really big teams. Cambridge away sticks in my head pretty vividly.
Yeah, Qaid Mohammed, last second winner.
Yeah,
epic around that time, and we played at Luton as well in front of 7,000 plus.
That's
something else.
Yeah, that was a difficult game because the crowd was immense, and the occasion was immense to lead a Bath City side out in front of that many fans. It was pretty special really, but I think we found ourselves 3-0 down at half time, and we were really, really working hard not to get beat up. But I think we've ended up winning the second half and losing 3-1. But Joe Bonnell came on, and I think that was the first time we sort of really saw Joe, and because he sort of signed with a bit of an injury, and Joe really made a difference to the team when he came in, and I think Lee Phillips scored in the second half, and won the second half 1-0 really. But yeah, and you only got to look. I think I looked at the league the other day really, and look at the teams there now. Where Forest Green are now, for example. I think they finished 5th from bottom that year.
Yeah.
And we finished 10th, which I believe is the highest part-time team that season to finish in the league.
Yeah, teams obviously flying higher now. A few others are now in League One. You also played against some players who ended up playing at a higher level. Jamie Vardy, standout.
Yeah, definitely. He was obviously he was the talk of the town at the time. Did we believe he'd probably go on and have a career that he did? Probably not. But I do remember, I think it might have been the second time we played him up at their place. But I remember speaking to Andrew Jones. I just bought a new set of boots at the time. And he'd sort of I think he was that quick. I even tried to kick him and still couldn't get anywhere near him. But I said to Jonah just jokingly, I took my boots off and I had 3 missing studs. And I said he's twisted me up that much. He's even took his studs out of my boots. So there was some really remarkable games there. And like you say, some really good standard of football.
Yeah, sadly it ended in relegation. You ended up drifting more into the coaching side. How did all that come about in the end after you left briefly the following season?
I saw after the relegation, they were sort of a bit of a rebuild then for AD and Arch, and we had conversations. I really wanted to carry on playing a little bit. I still thought I had a little bit of football left in me, and I love playing. And I think you get to a point where you get used sporadically, and you win, you play, and you think actually I'm going to play again next week. But the person that you've taken you're only playing because they're injured, they're back fit, and you end up coming back out of the squad. And I was finding it quite hard with my emotions, and it was I had to sort of make a decision whether I wanted to carry on playing or whether actually I cut and started coaching really. And I was always obviously being the captain. I was always doing things like taking warm-ups and training and doing all different things really. So it's sort of a natural progression for me to do, and I really enjoyed that part as well. And then. I think we had an honest conversation where I'd not played for some time, and Chippenham were really desperate to bring me in. Probably not the best football club to go to, but obviously the next local one to me. And I knew the management there at the time, and I thought, I'll go there and get some games really. But I wouldn't have left. AD and Art sat me down and said, look, go and get your football. If it doesn't work out, I never signed a contract up there. It was just to go and play some football. If it doesn't work out for you, there's always a role here at Bath City Football Club for you. So it was a no-brainer for me really. Went up there, didn't work out, and 9 weeks later, I think I was, I think there was a few indifferent results, and I walked back in through the dressing room, and
What's it been?
Nice welcome.
What's it been like to then be on the other side, I suppose, in the dugout as opposed to playing?
Yeah, it's totally different, Mark. I'm very much, I was very much a team player. Very much a captain that that wasn't necessarily the best player in the team, but made the team the best it could be, really, with my other attributes. And you try and carry that on into the sort of the coaching side of things, really, and working with different people. There's sort of different opportunities, really, and working with AD and Arch, there was more opportunity for me to do session stuff out. When Gary came in, Gary was a very, very, very good coach, and I learned lots from Gary, and he did lots of the coaching. Really, I was more of the organisational stuff and looking after the lads and making sure that they understood their roles and understood they were well organised, really. And then obviously when Jerry came in, very, very similar. Fantastic coach. Probably the best coach I've worked with in my time at Bath. His attention to detail into his sessions and his plan and all that kind of stuff is phenomenal, really. But really enjoyed. He gave me a role, and I understood what my role was really within the group, and that grew and grew and grew. And I think really enjoyed the challenges. I just really wish that we could have got a decent cup run or one of those playoff finals. The 2 playoff games we got into, really, that if we'd got one of those at the playoff finals, would have probably left a little bit happier within my coaching at Bath, really. I can probably honestly say the only time I've really not enjoyed standing on the sidelines really is the times that I've taken over as manager, as the interim manager, and that's probably why I'll never be a football manager.
Never?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, Mark. I don't think it's probably right for me personally. And I know even though we had a really good result in the 6-0 win in the FA Cup just after Gary left, really, against Redhill, and the lead up to that, I don't think I slept for 3 nights. And as much as I love the football club and being a part of it and stuff like that, I don't think I'd ever be the Bath City manager.
What's it been like stepping away after all that time? Did it take some getting used to?
Yeah, very, very tough. Yeah, very tough. There's still dialogue, obviously, with Jerry. Still doing things for him, even though I wasn't at the football club. Still trying to help him along the way as much as I could. But with my boy being sort of poorly and my workload being really, really great at work, in the day I was okay. I was able to switch off and do some stuff like that, really. But yeah, Saturday afternoons were very, very tricky, very, very tricky. And as much as you don't want to, you try and turn yourself off to it. I've got a passion for football, and obviously, everybody knows how much I love this football club, and it's quite hard. I thought I'd not even look at the result on the first game of when I left, really, but then I didn't realise I'd got my watch linked to FootMob, and as soon as the goal went in, it kicked up on my thing, and that was me hooked again. Then back onto either your brilliant commentary on the radio or following it on FootMob, really. So so I had to do some things, really. I went out and watched some football, really. I went and watched a few of the Bristol City games. I've come across a couple of times to the games here. I've been up to Forest Green, watched quite a bit of local football. Nailsy and Tickenham were my local team, really, and they spent the whole season unbeaten and won their league. So I'd walk down there with a dog and watch a bit of football down there, really. But it's a strange transition, really, of not being involved in the match day kind of stuff.
Yeah, is it strange sort of wrapping up nearly 25 years when it all started? You were here on loan from Cardiff under Steve Millard, sadly no longer with us, so I know you had a lot of respect for, because you agreed to play for us under 24 hours after you made your Cardiff debut, I understand.
Yeah. I don't know, I was right from the start when I met Steve Millard and he sold me the football club, I don't know, almost hoped me I'd probably, even back then I'd do anything for the football club. And I was sort of, I was on a non-contract. I had a non-contract at Cardiff, which meant I could come out and get some games at Bath. So I had a non-contract here as well. And if there was a reserve game in the week and Bath didn't have a game, I could play it on a Tuesday in the reses at Cardiff, and then I could come across here. And we'd had a couple of injuries, and we were going quite well. I think Cardiff were in the playoff slots, and it was I think it was a Wednesday. I knew that I was going to be travelling on the Friday night on the Friday with Cardiff, and they had Fulham away live on Sky that night. Didn't think I'd be involved, but I just knew I was in the squad. So I spoke to Steve and said, look, I can't come training Thursday. I'm going to be travelling to London or whatever. And he said, look, no problems, but if you're not involved in stuff like, would you still like to play Saturday? And I was like, yeah, no problem at all. Not knowing that I'd have any minutes on the game on Friday night. And But lo and behold, I was named as sub on that day for Cardiff, and we were sort of winning 4-1. And I think the manager at the time just thought it'd be nice to give me my debut at that point. So I think I came on for about 5 minutes. I think I touched the ball a couple of times, and that was it, really. And but as I say, the offer of making me sort of debut at Cardiff live on Sky away on the Friday night. I'm back on the bus and I get a call from Steve Millard saying, I've seen that you've come on, stuff like, do you still want to play tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, of course, Steve. Couldn't let him down. He was such a lovely guy. And I remember getting back at 2:00 in the morning, getting to bed, and he'd said, we're training at Lansdowne at 10:30 that morning because he'd signed a couple of players and wanted to go through some shape and some set pieces. I said, yeah, no problem, Steve. See you there at 10:00. And it was January. It was wet. It was windy. It was a blustery old day. And the signing was Jimmy Nicholl. Yes. And it was the famous Jimmy Nicholl. And it
didn't last long.
Yeah, he got sent off. We lost the game against Macclesfield, and then I went back to Cardiff and finished the season. I think I played about 14 or 15 games. And we got in the playoffs and just missed out in a promotion, really. So, but I still believe if I hadn't come to Bath and got that men's football that really was competitive, I don't think I'd have been going back to Cardiff and getting their team. So I was always thankful.
Could you have imagined then that you would have had such a long association with Bath City? I mean, we've had plenty of players who've just come on loan for a month and then they vanish and people forget who they are, and certainly you're not in that category.
No, definitely. I didn't at the time. I remember coming back from my second spell under Paul Bowden when I was up at Forest Green, and I had a real sort of hard transition coming out of full-time football and then signing for Forest Green, and they were very much part-time. And I'd had a couple of injuries. I dislocated my shoulder and stuff, and I found myself out of the team. And when Paul Bowden come asking, I was desperate to come back down to Bath because he'd assembled a really, really good team. And I thought they were going to challenge for promotion, but ended up coming back on loan for the second time, and for whatever reason we couldn't quite agree a deal to sign, and it took me a few more years later to come back and sign permanently.
Yeah, Alan Pridham, did he need to persuade you much to come back permanently?
No, not really. There was a couple of players I knew. I'd been here twice. I was sort of not far from the area. And I wanted to settle down. I'd sort of, while I was at Forest Green, I'd sort of retrained. I took some courses through the PFA and decided actually, the chance of me getting back into full-time football was going to be very, very, very slim. So what was I really chasing? So I just wanted to find a football club that was, a well-established football club, that I'd been to before. And when I met Prids, same again. The football club at the time, it was nothing about money. We didn't even discuss money. And agreed to sign, and then when we sort of negotiated, the thing. None of the lads here at the time were here for money, and it was it was a tough time because he went through quite a lot of players, and it was really hard to build that team spirit when there was different players coming at different time. But you could understand why why he was doing that, because he was he didn't have too much money to work with at the time really. But still, then the fan base of the football club and the ground here, coming back here just today, is a fantastic stadium, fantastic fan base. And I think that's what's lured players in and to come to the football club over the years really, and that's what I fell in love with, obviously.
One manager we haven't mentioned too much is John Relish, who of course led the Southern League Championship winning side, and he seemed to take to you straight away. I spoke to him a few months ago. He said I think he met you the first time they were at training, and immediately you got on well. Alan Pridham made you captain originally, but you played a lot of games as captain under John. What was he like?
Yeah, they had an excellent partnership. John and Adi. They, I remember I knew a little bit of Adi, but didn't really know John too well. Obviously, I'd come across him a couple of times. Obviously, when I was over at Cardiff and stuff, and I knew they were the management at Merthyr, a club that I'd played for, and people spoke very highly of him. But that first meeting, I remember sitting in the stand, and he just asked me some really honest questions, and that's what I found with John. Such an honest guy, and his footballing brain and his footballing knowledge was brilliant. And I really enjoyed his conversations, and he had a real good pedigree and experience in football, and I think he knew what he needed to win the league really. And he listened to his sort of senior players as well. We sort of had a bit of a voice in the dressing room under Rel, and he was such a calming manner, that he had, that you knew that when he did get angry, he really meant it, and it never really happened very often, but it seemed to work every time when he did. Fabulous guy. Spoke to him recently, and and I think we were on the phone for nearly an hour.
Did you score the best goal of your 9 under him, the volley against Yeading?
Yeah, possibly. Shame it's not on tape. It's probably a little bit too early for the video every week by then. Really,
recreate it one day.
I remember scoring there. I'm scoring one at Tiverton from outside the box, I think it was. Possibly that one. But I think, like you say, the one I obviously remember would be the one against Eastleigh a little bit later, because that was my last goal. And you can see from my appearances to goals, I wasn't renowned.
You look back, is there any one game in particular that you'd love to experience again? Does anything stand out of the 450 odd that you were involved in as a player?
No, I don't think so, Mark. No, it's a tough question. People always ask me sort of, best game or best player you've played with and stuff, and I've played with lots of players, and you don't want to disrespect all the good players that you've played with to pick that one really. And it's the same with the matches. I used to, don't get me wrong, I used to love beating Team Bath. We had some really, really good games against Team Bath really. I could probably honestly say I think probably Dave's got a clip from the celebration when the full-time whistle went at Woking in the elation. I think I actually jumped into the crowd. So I think that would probably be my that would be my favourite if I had to pick one.
And we'll go back to what this whole thing is about, your testimonial coming up. We've had crowds of 1,000, of course, at Twerton Park in more recent days. You want a lot of people turning up just to appreciate how much you mean to the club, I presume. Yeah, no, hugely.
I just think it's another good opportunity as well for to get get all the players past and present possibly. I know they've got a grueling camp that weekend, so lads that I've made some amazing friends through football, and I've always said in football, one of the greatest things about football is the people you meet. I look back and I think it was a game against Kettering, Mark. I see a picture of you. You're probably about 10.
Yeah, and, looked about 4.
And we've become very good friends. And Dave holding the camera, same again. I remember him putting on a supporters thing, and I gave him one of my shirts because of the work that he's done for this football club. Both of you, So I've made some amazing, friends through football, and it's going to be great to share that day with the lads that are going to play in the games, and also the fans hopefully that turn up and support the day.
You better score, Jim. Thank you very much. It's been great to catch up, and we look forward to the testimonial very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers.